You talking to me?
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
Well, who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like a clown.
I'm Peter Venkman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a good man.
Damn!
I'm kind of a big deal.
First rule of my club is do not talk about life.
Yeah, baby!
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome back to Frame by Frame. Let's go pump it up a bit. There we go.
Pump up the volume.
Are we close enough? I think we're close enough.
Yeah, we're fine.
Let's just up that. That's it. Yeah. Get closer, Andy. Come on. Get intimate.
Oh.
Wow, wow, wow. You can put the music in after. You don't have to do that.
Oh. The magic of editing.
I'll tell you what. The last few podcasts, I think, since Mad Max, I've got like the porno soundtrack involved in every single episode so far. It seems to be a bit of a handy drop in. So
it needs to keep coming back.
It needs. It's funny.
But then that needs the the Marvin Gaye. Well.
That does, yeah.
Let's get it on.
Which we've used before as well. Which is, I think, when did we use that one? I think it was a cocktail episode.
Oh right, yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
But I just think it's fun to put these little sound bites in because it works.
Yeah,
it works for me. So how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, not bad.
Watched any interesting films lately? Outside of what we're going to talk about, anything?
Actually, I've been watching Last Man on Earth. Have you heard of this?
Oh, is that the David Bowie thing?
No, that's the man who fell from Earth.
Oh,
fell to Earth.
That's something else.
It's like a comedy series where it just starts with this guy's driving around America, and you just see him go into a certain like town, state, or whatever, and he's got like a megaphone, and he's like, "Hello, is anyone there?" And so he's the last man on Earth.
So it's kind of like Omega Man.
Yeah, but it's comedy. It's funny.
Man on Earth premieres March 1st on Fox.
Yeah. So he ends up going to his hometown, into his apartment. Looks awful, so he goes into this massive mansion, and so essentially it's this. He's just on his own, and there's a part where he's watching like Castaway. He's like, "Don't be stupid, Tom Hanks. I don't need a ball. I'm fine," And then the next scene, he's in a pub with balls all around him. There's like Kev, Steve, Bob, all these people, and he's trying to play pool and stuff, and he sort of loses it. But towards the end of the first episode, he sees like a fire, so he rushes to it, and there's a girl there, and he faints, and he has this vision of this beautiful woman and he starts kissing. He comes around, and she's this really annoying woman, and he can't stand her, but he's really horny. Yeah. So
it's weird because everything resonates with the whole fantasy that everybody kind of has. What it would be like to be the last person on the Earth.
Well, yeah, because at first he's like getting all these posh cars and crashing into each other, having a real fun time, and then it's like 2 months later, and he's a wreck. His whole mansion's a wreck. He cuts a hole in a diving board at a pool so he can take a poo into. He calls it a shit pool because they've obviously got no running water. You know what I mean? So anyway, this girl, it's her mission. She thinks them two are the only ones that are left after this virus. You don't know what the virus is. They're to repopulate the species, and but she won't have sex with them until they're married. So they have this like really weird marriage, and then they have some. And then
a spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah. So they have
screw it.
So they have sort of like weird sex in it, where she's just like sits on him, but doesn't do anything, just talks weird at him, and he just lies there staring at him. It's really funny. But towards the end of like that, they're coming away from just getting married, and doing something else. And then this big limo goes in front of him, and they crash into this limo, And they look at, and then this really hot girl gets out, who's really cool.
And he's thinking, oh damn.
And then, but he's stuck with this
He's
girl,
married.
and that's the thing. I think he's the only man alive, you know.
Yeah.
I've only got a few episodes into it, but it's funny. It's really good.
I mean, everybody has that fantasy. I mean, I have. I've always thought, what it'd be like to be the only one alive, and I've kind of like finessed it over the years. You know, it's one of those things you think about before you go to bed. I'm sure you do the same, right?
I always think about
if I was the last person, who would I like to actually have in my world? It's always the weirdest things, but then you start to think, I don't want to have to grow food, so let's just have this kind of weird alien influence where there's a supermarket, and every day everything's just fresh.
Phil is trying to make the best of it. He starts to do a bunch of weird things, like make a margarita pool. Most people take for granted how things work. This show really has fun with that. You turn on a faucet and water comes out. You have no idea how that works, though. When it really boils down to it, you have no idea what to do. So for a lazy guy like me, I'm not going to get a bunch of stuff going again. I'm just going to not live off the land, but live off those stores.
The baby's back.
Yeah. That should be your new slogan.
The baby's back. It's like, forget Sigourney Weaver and the bitch.
Yeah, literally the clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking and the baby is back. But I think he might be waking up soon. But I have set up some areas over there for him to play with. Should he wake up prematurely? Cool. I'm just going to wait. We're going to wait for him to cry.
There's this really funny bit where his wife comes back and he walks into the house and he bursts into tears, and she's like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" He said, "Well, I've just been thinking, and it's the most awful thing." And she's like, "What is it?" "Well, the thing is we can't have our babies having sex with each other, so I'm going to have sex with her as well." He's just putting it on, you know what I mean, just so he could have sex with her, because it looks like it'll be better, you know.
It's going to have to be a polygamous marriage in
yeah, like Mormons.
Well, I could really use some rest. Where should I stay?
Oh, you should probably stay right here, right? You know, it's probably good to have somebody watching over you in case you got a concussion or something.
I don't have a concussion.
That's what people always say when they got a little concussion brewing.
I definitely don't have one.
Think about it.
So can I just take any house, or?
Well, this one's Phil's, and mine's the one across the street with the broken door. Phil broke it.
I'm gonna fix your door, Carol.
Well, he's not very handy, so I'm not gonna hold my breast.
Breath.
Why would I hold my breath? I would die.
Carol, why would you hold your breast?
It's holding your breath, because there's danger if you hold your breath.
I wouldn't, that's what I'm saying.
So the house with the broken door is yours?
Yeah. But every other one is available. I would avoid the white one because Phil uses the pool as a toilet.
Carol!
What? It's the truth.
You know, she just got here. It's...
But the toilet pool's the first thing you showed me.
But you don't have to tell her, you know,
Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have put Phil's business out on the streets.
But it's funny, so I recommend it. It's funny.
What's it called again?
Last Man Alive.
Last Man Alive.
But you know, you're talking about The Last Man Alive. You know who isn't alive anymore?
Oh no. That's not how you introduce this. That's not how you do this. But then again, you know, we can't just all be morose about it. I mean, the guy had a sense of humour, I'm sure. But so this last couple of days,
tragic news. Yeah, that's Wes Craven has sadly passed away,
and he died. Well, you could say he died young, 76, and it was cancer.
Oh, was it? I didn't know he had cancer.
Yeah, brain cancer, which is one of those things that I have no idea about, really, how it actually works. But
I heard you smell rubber.
Really?
There was a musician, because you know how paranoid I am. I was listening to the radio, and it came on the radio that when he was playing piano, I can't remember what the musician is now. You probably will find out, but he was playing piano and he could smell rubber while he was playing like a gig, and he was like, "Oh, don't know what that is." And apparently, when you got a brain tumour, one of the symptoms, you can smell rubber everywhere you went. So shortly after that, everywhere I went, I could smell rubber.
Yeah. What kind of rubber? I mean, are you talking about Like
I think like burning rubber,
tire rubber, burning
that
rubber,
kind of thing. Like a condom. I smell condoms everywhere.
That's like but yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's tragic news.
It is,
but unfortunately, you know, it seems to be that since we've had this podcast, quite a few well-known filmmakers, actors, well, just generally people have just been passing away, and we tend to like to pause. And
yeah, absolutely. I don't think we're to blame though.
We're not. No.
For the deaths.
It's not that, but I kind of feel as though that our podcast has been quite timely because a lot of big stars who, well, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those weird things that we seem to be at a bit of an interesting time for the mainly
the mortality of
the post studio system, mainly. You know, and it's you know, it's not old Hollywood now. It's getting closer and closer, and I mean, Wes Craven really didn't come to prominence until the early 70s.
Yeah, well, it's hard to not underestimate the impact he actually had on horror cinema.
And I think he's been a little bit overstepped because of fans kind of holding on to him in the Nightmare on Elm Street zone. But really, his influence has been quite profound.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a little talk about that today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excuse me.
Well, as a coincidence, I got a message off Stephen just saying that I've just watched The Last House on the Left.
This was a few days before
days before he died, yeah. And because we were talking about it, weren't we?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like a revenge sort of rape thing, isn't it? So,
yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
And so I watched it again straight after. Yeah, after you told me, so you'd watched it the day before, then I watched it, and then the day after he died. It was very bizarre.
Yeah. Here's the trailer.
Marie and her friend.
I feel like a woman for the first time in my life.
Two girls from the suburbs going to the city to have a good time.
Oh, this is my roommate, Sam.
Hi, girls.
This is my sister, Martha. Martha, these girls, want to buy some grass.
4 killers on the loose, also looking for a good time.
And the road leads to nowhere.
They meet in the last house on the left. What began as a birthday party ends as a nightmare.
I want to give you something.
I don't want that.
It's worth a lot.
I don't want
it. I want to be your friend.
No, you want to get free.
I want to be your friend. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Just what did happen in the last house on the left? Dr. Collingwood lived there.
Are you sure we're not going to put you folks to any trouble? No nonsense. Our home is yours.
His wife lived there.
I've always dreamed of a man who could take me easily.
So did their daughter, Marie. They all lived there.
Junior.
To avoid fainting, keep repeating to yourself, it's only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie. Last house on the left.
Okay, so yeah.
Good try.
It's a good try. But yeah, it's
that's his first film.
It's his first. It was his first official. I mean, he did a documentary before then. I can't remember the subject matter now. I should know. Was it? I think it might have been something erotic. Bah, cut that out. But he dabbled in several areas. I mean, if you look at the early history of Wes Craven, his family were Baptists,
right?
And so cinema was forbidden. It was one of those weird things where he had to sneak in to watch films, and so he kind of was. It was a forbidden thing, so it was something that he gravitated towards. Quite, obviously, as a kid, if something's forbidden, you want to push towards it. So luckily he found his way into. I think he did a bit of acting to begin with as well. He's not just a director. He's a kind of an all-rounder as well, but his focus mainly has been directing since Last House on the Left. And he had a couple of breaks with a few people at the Chaplin Studios, or Chapin Studios, not Chaplin, Chapin Studios, and it was Sean Cunningham, I think, who helped him develop and produce Last House on the Left.
Right.
So, what a movie!
Yeah,
it's kind of odd because it's not completely. There's something black comedy about it.
It's that music that's used,
but it's mixed in with the kind of worst subject matter that a woman can actually be involved with. And in particular a woman, because this is purely about male and one female predator, who are a couple of girls fall into their apartment one night, and that's it. Plan goes ahead. Let's rape and kill them.
Yeah,
but it's just an unfortunate circumstance that the whole film kind of has this beautiful upbeat kind of 70s iconic music soundtrack, and it's kind of there's a lot of juxtaposition. It's like,
do you think without that it'd be too difficult to watch the film?
It probably would have been. It would have been like Stray Dogs.
Yeah,
it would have been like
Straw Dogs.
Straw Dogs.
Yeah.
Stray Dogs. Yeah,
Stray Dogs are difficult to look at.
Yeah, Straw Dogs, which in a way, actually, when that scene happened in Straw Dogs, there was a kind of a romantic.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, though? Because there's that contention that she's enjoying it because it was her ex-boyfriend who did it.
Yeah, it was somebody from a past who was involved in it. So, but with this one, there was interesting juxtaposition straight from the very start when they're in the apartment and they're being held at knife point. They cut to the parents who are trying to set up a party for her. It was her 18th, and and they were kind of like making. I think they were making cake.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was exciting, and you go.
Well, that's clever.
Brilliant
filmmaking because of like the reality of life. We're so excited, we're throwing this party for our daughter. We're totally ignorant to the fact that she's being held at knife point somewhere,
which is kind of how life is.
Life is, the parallels of life.
It's like, I mean, we have those kind of things happen in real life where you're celebrating something, and then you get on the phone later on and find out that someone's just died. It happens.
Wes.
Thanks a lot, Wes.
Yeah,
but it's a very. I didn't feel that awkward watching it though.
No,
it was like the scenes when they took them out. It kind of.
Yeah, I suppose today you'd see a lot more than you see.
Yeah,
it's when she's being raped.
Yeah,
especially the one outside. It's just that shot on the face, isn't it?
Yes.
Where she's sort of like just got her head to one side, and the only bit I found a little bit disturbing is when he finishes, he pulls off a bit of his spit stuck to her face.
Yeah,
and he pulls away. I found that a bit icky and
that's kind of
sickening.
That's the thing you can imagine that would stay with them, the breath and everything. And you kind of understand that from an outside perspective. You'd never be able to internalize it, be able to figure that out, how that feels.
Yeah, but
it was definitely a strong message film. Very strong. I mean, that girls need to be careful. I mean, I think this is the era just after the 60s where everybody's exploring this freedom and liberty, and like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they're just going across country and they're okay to pick up hitchhikers. These girls feel it's okay to just go around the city.
Just go to a
random guy who says we've got grass at our apartment.
Yeah.
Come on in. It's a liberty.
And another thing to say, I'm not a woman.
No.
Right?
Obviously.
But I feel that there'd be some sort of, because there's a woman in the gang, so you'd feel a little bit more well, she's there, so we're fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's weird because putting her in there changed the dynamic completely.
Yeah.
If she wasn't there, then it would have been more sick.
Yeah, and I reckon it would have been a little bit more unrealistic for her to go, yeah, okay, we'll come. Because you got a girl there, so you think, oh yeah, we're fine. But if there's no girl, you go, I'm not going to go in an apartment with 3 guys.
Yeah, true, exactly. But they didn't know she was in there when they first went in.
True,
so there's still a guy at the door coming to the apartment. But seeing her would send them, put them back on off guard again. So,
see, if I was a conservative, I'd probably be thinking, well, it's their own stupid fault for going in there. But I'm not.
No,
I'm not conservative, so I would actually say that anyone should be able to go wherever they want without fear of rape.
Yeah, that's exactly true. I mean, you can't blame people for wanting to be somewhere. It's like, why was that girl walking through the park? Because that's where she was entitled to be. She had a right to be. Just because somebody jumped out from the bushes, that's the problem, not her walking through the park.
Absolutely. Well, night. She was wearing a short skirt. Women shouldn't dress like that. They should be able to. Anyone should be able to walk around butt naked and not be in fear.
And they shouldn't put bullets in guns, and knives shouldn't be sharp.
Yeah.
It's that whole
only spoons.
Things shouldn't. Yeah, we should only use spoons, and chainsaws should be locked up.
Yeah.
Not people.
Or instead of having a saw around the chainsaw, just spoons.
It's just really fun.
So instead of cutting things down, it just sort of gives them a real nice shine.
Have you seen? What amuses me is that shops actually have Fisher Price chainsaws. Have you seen these Fisher Price chainsaws? I'm like, well, why would any child want to run around with a chainsaw?
Joshy, what have you got?
Press this one. No, the other one.
Is it yours? Is it a
Quick,
toy
do it quicker.
one?
Press.
Is it a toy one?
No, the other one.
Your friend that's me off. Yeah. Stop demanding me. Cut the dolly's head off.
And not only that, they say, oh, where's my chainsaw toy? It doesn't matter, I'll use Dad's.
Yes!
Goodbye, Lim.
Goodbye, Lim. I mean, there's been a viral video actually this week, speaking of limbs, where this dad puts a fake arm and a child comes up with, was it a childish chainsaw, a baby chainsaw? And he thinks he's chopped off his dad's arm. And he's standing there, he's like really shocked and stunned and upset. And I'm thinking, well, this isn't funny.
No.
That's kind of cruel, so...
Actually, sort of on the subject of rape, did you watch the video of that guy who basically pretended to be someone who wasn't on Facebook to get young girls to meet up with him? He cleared it with the family. And all the family said to him was like, this is actually quite related, I suppose.
Yeah.
And all the family said to him, no, try it. There is no way our kid will fall for that. And on every occasion, at one point, a 12-year-old girl, he got to come out of the house and get into his car. But the moment they got in the back of the car, the parents are there. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And it was all, he got young girls, he's pretending to be he's like a 30-year-old
So
man.
basically he clears it with the parents. It's like an experiment to see
if I can get if your kid will fall for this rubbish on Facebook and then come and...
Yeah. But they think no way they're going to do it. But
we brought our kids up right. No way they'll do that. And I'm not sure if you see about 4 versions of it. The last one, poor kid, she'll never do it again. She gets in the van and everyone's got masks on and they all grab her and she screams and the people with the masks on are actually her parents.
That's freaking insane.
Yeah.
It is very relative. I mean, this is kind of the weird society that we live in. That, for one thing, parents think that their children are safe because they bring them up right, but there's no right in bringing up. Well, there is wrong, but there's no right. There's there's definitely a wrong way to bring up, but you can't say that you've brought up a child right.
It's just so much.
Society is
too much.
So much.
Yeah, just too much to influence. Yeah, exactly.
No parent can have full control over what a child does and thinks and believes.
So I just think Facebook's going to be outlawed in our house. So what was Wes Craven's next film?
So, sorry, we sidetracked, but we are kind of talking relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
his next film.
Was it The Hills Have Eyes?
I believe so. Yeah, and he had the film is pretty much all about that guy, Michael Barrymore. That's the one, Pluto.
Michael Barrymore.
Michael Barrymore is Pluto, this deformed guy.
Yeah.
Who is, but he's not. The thing is, it's like with the, he's basically remembered by his face, not remembered by his name. It's like the guy in Ghost, who was on the train.
Get off my train.
Get off my train. He's in everything that requires a gothic element to it. He was. He's dead now, unfortunately. But yeah, here we have this guy who came into the audition studio. He didn't say anything, didn't do anything. They just looked at him and said, "Right, he's in the movie."
Yeah, poor guy. We need inbred.
Yeah, he doesn't even need makeup. They basically said he does not even need makeup. This guy looks, and it's basically cinema in the 60s and 70s kind of became the let's take people out of the freak shows and the circuses and put them on our movies because they will be our poster boys. So in a way, I kind of feel sorry that that's kind of the way that is. But it's quite a strong cast. That Dee Wallace is in there. Didn't realise. But you've seen this movie. I haven't.
Have you not seen it?
No.
People go on holiday. They get tortured.
Okay, and they go on holiday where? Is it kind of like they're going through the Rockies of Arizona?
I think they go through the Rockies, if I remember rightly. It's a long time since I've seen it. But yeah, I think they just sort of pitch tent.
On the way to California.
Yeah, so they just sort of pitch up one night and they're there. And the actual remake is more in my head because I watched that after I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's a similar thing where all these sort of inbred and you start torturing them and killing them. And I think there's another rape involved. Loves a good old rape, early Wes Craven did.
Yeah, I think he's... Yeah, it's hard to tell where his thoughts are behind all that. He's a fan of the horror genre, but he's also seems to be quite interested in putting difficult subject matter on screen. But by this time, I think we'd had a lot of things that had explored that.
Yeah.
We had The Exorcist. We already had Straw Dogs, I think, by that time. It's 1977, so we had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all these films where social responsibilities and liberties have already been kind of tested. So 1977, he brings this out.
I suppose had this been explored before, the idea of like an inbred... I suppose it has, yeah. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an inbred family, isn't it?
Yeah. But, Wes Craven directed and wrote it.
Again, though, it's another, harrowing film.
Yeah, he just liked to go for that harrowing.
I suppose as a young director trying to make a name for yourself, if you make films as disturbing as possible, you are getting that name for yourself, aren't you? And
he did, and I think that this is his need to kind of find ways into the industry again to keep it going. I mean, in the 70s, there wasn't really... The structure was only just developing.
Yeah.
All the Mavericks from the early 70s were finally building studios by 77 and building up their empires, quite literally. In George Lucas's, this was the start of his empire right now.
But yeah, from very early on, it was never just it was Wes Craven's blah blah blah.
Yeah,
it was never
there was always an authorship. Yeah, and John Carpenter continued that. With
John Carpenter's blah.
Yeah, people like to have that, but now. You rarely see that. You don't see Michael Bay's Transformers.
Yeah,
it's just a Michael Bay film.
Yeah.
It's not Michael Bay's Transformers. Thank God. Well,
it is.
He should own up for it. Okay, so then I believe. Yeah, it's not the bit. I think we're going to go straight to the mother of all Wes Craven movies, and
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, which. Yeah, it's. I've talked about it several times with a super fan, to which I will add links to those interviews, kind of low quality phone interviews. But and it's a weird one because it changed the idea of what horror is. I
think the idea of the Nightmare on Elm Street is fantastic.
Yes,
something that attacks your dreams.
Yeah,
which is. That's a frightening idea.
It is, yeah.
Scared to fall asleep is a frightening idea, so that's good. And I think Freddy is an iconic horror
character, definitely. And Robert Englund really put his love
Oh,
into
he
that,
did.
and
He did.
yeah, Wes Craven really felt that this subject was worth exploring.
Yeah.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You could just see cuts happening.
What did that, Lieutenant?
I don't know.
What has the coroner got to say? He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
No!
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
I like such an in-joking scream when it's at the very beginning. You know, Drew Barrymore is on the phone to him, and he's like, "Do you like scary movies and that thing?" He's like, "What do you like?" Because I like Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, Freddy. Yeah, I like the first one. The others are rubbish.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's a nice little wooden joke.
I think Wes Craven is kind of aware of what he does and how it works. And did he direct all of them?
Nightmare on Elm Street. I think
Yeah.
he just did the first one.
And that was it.
Oh,
yeah.
no, he did Wes Craven's New Nightmare, didn't he?
He did, yeah. So he kind of regained control, and I thought
But
that was
still
actually
very good.
It was still better because it was metafiction, and I enjoy in exploring the metafiction.
Because wasn't Freddy after the actual characters of?
Yeah, he was
the
actually
actors.
after the actors. So
Yeah.
Heather Lemon Camp.
Look at Barrymore.
Michael Barrymore. No. Yeah, I can't remember her name now, but she was really good in the first film. I thought she held up quite well.
Yeah. And again, there's always a very
Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah, Johnny Depp had
There was
the best death in it.
Yeah, it was
When he's
pretty sucked into the bed and then splattered against the ceiling.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, he was flinging all over, but but in his dream he's all over the place. But you just see the cut come on him, don't you, on the bed, and then when he hits the bed, it's just blood everywhere and stuff.
Very Stanley Kubrick reference for Shining, but but it was good.
No, it's a very good film, and it's still got that sexual violence about it. You know, when she's in the bath and the hand comes out between her legs.
Yeah, so you're kind of harking back to Last House on the Left and the rape scene in Hills of Eyes.
Yeah, and obviously he was a child rapist, wasn't he, Freddy?
You say Wes Craven was?
No.
Freddy was. Yeah, he was burnt alive in a all the community.
Yeah, because of what
they
he did.
Killed him. And which is kind of an interesting backstory because
he's like the worst person ever.
But he's based on a reality and then transformed into this supernatural entity that is Freddy Krueger, who is iconic because of his sweater, iconic because of his hand and his hat, which were all kind of elements of Wes Craven's own ideas of scary things, and it's kind of all different parts kind of just came in like a bricolage of textures, and I think that worked really well for the first film.
Yeah, I love how like the teenagers turn the table on him.
Yes,
stalking
him in their dreams.
Yeah, exactly, and they bring him into the reality, the real world. I love that with the sledgehammer that comes down and just boom into his stomach and stuff. I love all that. And
in true Friday the 13th Halloween fashion, it's the nightmare is not over.
No, because he likes to pull rubber people through windows.
That's hilarious. It was kind of like when you end the scene in the movie, you leave people with an impression.
Yeah.
And that could have been
that
could have been a little bit more based on reality, but But then again, what can you do? But I mean, it also built around this idea. I mean, this was just after Poltergeist as well. This movie, 1984, was it? This movie. So the idea of children singing in a chorus, which harks back to The Innocents, of course, where children singing has become kind of spooky and creepy.
Yeah.
Like in Poltergeist. And yeah, I kind of found that effective. Always effective. But then, of course...
Yeah, there's something... Because it's all slow motion, isn't it? And 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, grab a crucifix. 7, 8,
John Michael Barrymore
is late.
Yeah, send your food back.
So
yeah, the first film's great. It is, but the legacy, it just like all franchises, it just went into.
I think I think I identified this whilst talking to Matt, that the one thing about Freddy Krueger, that he was frightening in that first film.
Yeah.
But the thing is, once you see something in its full form, like in Alien, as soon as you start seeing the alien in its full form, there it is. You know what it is.
The dude
you
in the
see
suit,
it.
yeah.
Dude in the suit. You kind of lose that fear. Of course, I think the fear of not seeing holds up a lot longer and a lot stronger than actually having this character who not only do you see the full vision of him, the full spectre, but you also have the personality, the humor, it takes away the kind of suspense from him. It
does, but I suppose in the dream state, Freddy could be whatever he wanted to be, couldn't he?
That's true, and that they kind of took that. What's his name? The dude who likes to do Cronenberg. There's a kind of a Cronenberg / Carpenter element that was squashed together, where he was morphed into different things. But I mean, I think the Freddy Krueger series, the Nightmare on Elm Street series, is a fun thing to explore, and of course fans really, really are so hyped, and I think the fandom of it is such a strong, tight fandom.
Yeah.
As I've explored already. That you can understand why, but yeah, to me, I'm not really that much of a fan of it. I think it was kind of like
yeah, exactly. I've seen them all, and the first one is a film I really like. I don't go back to it that often. I don't go back to it like I go back to Halloween and things like that.
I think I used to when I was younger, but now I'm kind of like I want the ambiguous. I want the mystery, and just all you do is like you turn it on and you just think, okay, I'm waiting for Freddy. There he is!
Yeah.
It's 20 minutes in, he's fully there, and okay, I'm done.
And again, and we know why Freddy was this horrible person, they killed him, and now he's preying on people because they killed him. You know all the backstory.
Yep.
There's nothing left to the imagination. So just what imaginative way can these teenagers get killed this time?
Yeah, and how can they group up to fight it? They kind of made it a league of dream dream warriors, wasn't it?
Do you remember the Dokken song? Dream Warriors, don't wanna dream no more. It's on the credits at the end by Dokken, Dream Warriors it's called. It's such a cheesy 80s metal song.
So A Nightmare on Elm Street, of course, it has its place. But I think it does appeal to more younger teenager.
Like it's every Nightmare on Elm Street film after the first one is just essentially a remake of the first one.
It is,
apart from, like you said, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where it becomes a bit more meta.
Yeah, and I did enjoy that because they actually focused on the filmmakers, and I think I like that film within a film kind of aspect. That look at yourself. And it's a good angle. I think it was a good angle.
I was going to say, it's a filmmaker thinking outside the box, thinking, well, we've had not hundreds, but we've had a few of Nightmare on Elm Street. How can I do something different with it?
Bob Shea, the head of New Line Cinema, plays himself here, trying to sell the idea to the actress.
The fans, God bless them, they're clamoring for more. I guess evil never dies, right? Anyhow, a few weeks ago, I got a call from Wes, and he pitched me this really exciting idea, and I started thinking, who better to resurrect Freddy than his creator?
And veteran thriller maker Wes Craven, who directed that original film, thinks he knows how the supernatural is linked to the cinematic.
Who I mean?
Well,
Dramatically speaking, it makes perfect sense. You played Nancy after all, and you were the first to humiliate him, defeat him.
That was Nancy, Wes. It's not me.
Yeah, but it was you that gave Nancy her strength. So in order to get out, he's got to come through you. And it's inevitable that he's going to try to do that at your most vulnerable points.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare is the first horror movie that is actually about the frequently asked question, don't the people who make these films ever ask themselves about the effect the films have? It's very intriguing the way the film dances back and forth across the line between fantasy and reality. On the one hand, it's in the Nightmare on Elm Street tradition with frightening dream sequences using scary special effects, and on the other hand, it's a look behind the scenes of Hollywood. It's smart, it's scary, and it's curiously thought-provoking.
It didn't provoke a single thought in my head. No, Roger, they put in these people who you and I know, and so it's kind of campy fun to see them in their real-life roles on the screen. But at the core level, this is a mad slasher movie with Freddy, who I have never enjoyed as a villain, and I don't enjoy him here. It's just the same old bloodletting with new actors surrounding.
It's too bad that the movie didn't provoke a couple of more thoughts in your head.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I think he enjoyed it. He liked it a lot. He cared about it a lot.
Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
Again, it's the same with The Exorcist. It's the same with any kind of horror, generally horror franchise, where somebody takes it, they think they know what they're doing with it, and then it's just a cash-in.
Yeah, because they did, a remake
of
The Nightmare on Elm Street, and it was dreadful.
But then there's no Robert Englund, and I think I do admire Robert Englund because he is not only somebody who really has taken to heart this character of Freddy Krueger, but his involvement with the fans. I mean, there's not one single picture of a Freddy Krueger fan who has not been taken, had a photo taken with Robert Englund.
Oh, that's great.
He's that much of a giver. And I know that conventions also pay him to do this, and he's pretty much living off that. But it's still, It's
to the point now with Robert England, or whatever you say, bloody name, that if I put like Robert Wales,
Bobby Wales.
So if I ever put like a film, like a horror film that's just come out, and then he's in it, I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be rubbish.
Unfortunately,
he just turns up for like B-movie horrors, doesn't he? That's what he gets paid. That and conventions.
Was it Dial 197 or 42?
Yeah, there was Zombie Strippers. He was in that. He was like the owner of the club, and all these strippers become zombies.
And that's it. Yeah,
name,
he's not really a box office draw.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
If you try to put him in something big. It's the whole William Shatner thing. It weren't T.J. Hooker. It was Kirk. So if he's in a big film, that's Freddy. That's Freddy in that film. It's not. He becomes more than himself. He becomes the character.
Exactly. But sometimes I think it works in later in life where they're bitter and older, and I think that's the thing about Robert Englund, that he doesn't seem to be seeking that Renaissance period where he's able to break through that and be Oscar nominated for something that is profound. Like I can imagine him having the same kind of Renaissance period as what's the guy, J.D.
Lang.
He did the drumming film thing where he's hitting the kid.
Simmons.
Simmons. Yeah, I mean he's been an actor a long time.
Yeah,
he's been acting for a long time, and he's had a lot of smaller roles, but this one was his breakthrough. Because I could see Robert Englund doing that, something
if
like
he wants
that.
to, I think he might be just happy with his lot in life.
But then exactly, people then start to think, well, you don't want to expect anything much more than what he is, and otherwise he wouldn't be there for his fans anymore.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's where he is.
We only get so many great classic stories. That's what separates us from the animals, are the stories we tell. And Nightmare on Elm Street by Wes Craven is just a great goddamn story.
I can't overemphasize how important Wes Craven is in my life. I think back, he's given me this role of a lifetime. If I never work again, I can kind of die happy that I played a role that is so important in American cinema.
Freddy's been very, very good to me, and Wes taught me to respect the genre, and I'm glad I listened.
When I die, it'll be, the obituary probably best known for inventing Freddy Krueger. You know, it'll be something like that. That'll summarize my entire career. And I think for Robert, it's the man who played Freddy Krueger. You know, no matter what else you do in life, it's just one of those things. The film has its way with you.
I didn't know he directed Vampire in Brooklyn.
Vampire in Brooklyn. You see, that was right before Scream, though. So obviously he's not going to play with that for much longer. After, you know, as soon as Scream comes out, forget about Vampire in Brooklyn. But
I had no idea.
Have you actually seen this, though?
Yeah, yeah.
Was it any good?
Not really.
For centuries, they have roamed the earth. Fearsome creatures of the night, endlessly seeking to satisfy an unyielding hunger. Now, the world's last vampire is about to encounter something infinitely more terrifying than himself. Brooklyn.
Interesting. I've been stabbed, and I've been hanged. Even broken on the rack once, but I've never been shot before. It kind of itches a little.
Paramount Pictures presents...
If you're hungry, I'll run you down to KFC down the street and hit you off with a 2-piece.
I already had Italian.
Eddie Murphy.
Do I look like I would bite you?
Angela Bassett.
You bet not. Not after the day I've had.
Eddie Murphy.
Everything! Come on! Move it! Yeah, right. There's a lot of love in this room. Look at this.
And Eddie Murphy.
Bottom line, brothers and sisters, what I'm trying to tell you tonight is that evil is good. Let me hear y'all say it. Evil is good. That's right.
If he fails here...
Quickest way to a woman's heart is through the church.
It's actually through the rib cage, but that's a bit messy.
Being undead...
You got the dropsies.
...won't be worth living.
I'm a cop. If you try anything funny, I'll shoot you.
Women. Vampire in Brooklyn.
I would love to have you for dinner.
Eddie Murphy thinking he's smooth and being a vampire, and again I think he plays a few different parts in it.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, was this the start of his thing?
No, I think Coming to America was the start of that. And playing
doing different.
Yeah, because you know in the barber shop, he plays like virtually everyone in the barber shop.
Oh, never. Do you know what? I have not seen that film in such a long time.
Yeah, you know, like the Jewish guy.
Yeah,
that's Eddie Murphy.
Oh my god!
Yeah, well, I love that film. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's a great film. I think that's probably because he got such a thing going on with that. Yeah. So yeah, Vampire in Brooklyn.
That's very different film.
Angela Bassett's okay, but it's a very unusual film for Wes Craven to do, don't you think?
Yeah.
People Under the Stairs. You like that movie?
I don't mind it. I think it's just completely nuts.
Yeah, I like Ving Rhames in it.
Yeah.
Ving Rhames.
Yeah.
With Rhames. And the kid's good. And
that's got the guy out of Twin Peaks in it.
Yeah. But the film is very... It's kind of like Twin Peaks in that respect where the actors are kind of just reactants to things going on, and it's kind of odd because you kind of don't fully feel it. And I was just sitting there watching it, and I just got bored and fed up because I was like thinking, there's this hands that are just coming out of the thing, and they focused on the dogs way too much.
Well, again, it's a film I've seen for a while. I remember when I watched it, I enjoyed it. You know, I thought it was just fun. It wasn't scary.
It kind of reminded me of a cheap Stephen King TV movie.
Right. Okay.
That's kind of how it felt, and I thought, this is what 1991 was about. Though it was kind of like horror films were pretty awful in the early 90s. They really were. I mean, Stephen King TV movies were the only thing that we had to hold on to.
Right.
And of course, the last dregs of all these Halloween remakes.
I'm going to find out horror films 1991 now to prove you wrong.
Oh!
Because that's how much of a knob I am.
Okay, I can do this.
In every neighborhood,
There is one house that adults whisper about, and children cross the street to avoid. Now, Wes Craven, creator of A Nightmare on Elm Street, takes you inside. Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs.
Horror films in 1991. I think it was a really shocking era. Okay.
Silence of the Lambs.
That's not a horror film. It's
got horror elements.
It's got horror elements, of course.
All right. Okay. Let's look at this. Body parts. Bad.
Child
Freddy's
play.
dead. The final. It starts with Freddy's dead. No climax there. Subspecies. Puppet Master. Popcorn.
Sometimes they come back. I mean, it was like I say. It's remakes.
Oh, I love necromantic films.
Do you?
Oh God, yeah.
Necromantic.
Yeah, women having sex with dead bodies. Nothing wrong with that.
The Howling 6. Sorry, Scanners 2. Basically, okay. Let me just say, it was the era of unoriginal. Cape Fear is not a horror.
Ernest Scared Stupid.
Ernest Scared Stupid. Yeah. I can't really say that, but maybe we need to look through find out when the era of shitty horror movies started and where it ended. Where was the?
Because are we still in the everything has to be as gory as possible
era now? Where we were in the body. We kind of went back into body shock again.
Because all the 80s were the video nasties, and I suppose early 90s we were just starting to come out of that. We're getting all these cheap video nasties still coming out. Yeah,
it was about video nasties and Children of the Night. There's nothing out there. I mean, there's a lot of films I haven't heard of. Ghoulies. And as a kid, it's enjoyable.
But maybe, right? Let's think of this. So we do, as a lot of people like this do, I'll do one for the studio, and then I'll do one for me. So maybe you did that, and then so we could do Scream.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this?
Tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Someone is playing a deadly game.
It all began with a scream over 911.
Someone who's seen one too many scary movies.
Do you like scary movies?
What's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a scary movie.
Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door. Don't try to hide.
You're not scared, are you?
Scream. Rated R.
It's a great film.
It is, and it did two things.
It was scary.
Yeah.
And it was very satirical.
Yeah. And it was also meta as well.
Yeah.
So three things.
Let's find a fourth.
Yeah, it
destroyed Neve Campbell's career.
No, I don't think it really.
She didn't do anything after that.
She didn't have much of a. She's an indie film person. She's better in indie.
Well, before that, she was in. What was that series?
Family Planning? No. 9 of 4?
No.
A Party of 6?
Party of 5.
There we go.
Yeah. It was the most depressing series I've ever seen in my life. I used to watch it at college, right? We'd have a few drinks Saturday night, wake up with a hangover, put Party of 5 on and be depressed. The first episode starts with her mum and dad dying in a plane crash.
Joy.
It was the most. And a brother gets cancer, and the worst things happen. It was so depressing.
Yeah, and
so Scream was a hoot.
It was for her. It was a big chance to make money, and so her life is kind of secured in that way, in that respect. But in terms of output, she hasn't really. I mean, in a way, Jamie Lee Curtis was. Her career was a lot stronger.
Oh God, yeah.
As the Scream Queen, Scream Queen.
No, you had that
80s.
cream that you put on that really burned. That's just she invented it.
But yeah,
she did a few films after that, like Wild
Wild Things.
Wild Things
where she's getting it on, and that kind of ruined her career, I think, because
she
then
did a lot of films where she got naked.
Yeah, she also there was another film, indie film, where she got naked a lot, where she in the shower, and I was kind of like, well, you know, you don't.
It was a really boring film apart from those bits.
Yeah, and her bits.
Her bits are quite nice.
Her bit.
Her bit.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Oh, come on, you know I don't watch that shit.
Why not? Too scared?
No, it's just, what's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
Here comes.
What? The blood is all wrong. Why do they do that? It's too red.
Wait, here comes another. Hearing.
Ooh! Yes! Predictable. I knew he was gonna bite it. How can you watch this shit over and over? Shh! When do we see breasts? I want to see Jamie Lee's breasts. When do we see Jamie Lee's breasts?
Breasts? Not until Trading Places in '83. Jamie Lee was always the virgin in horror movies. She never showed her tits till she went legits.
Could afford a decent pair.
What'd you say? That's why she always outsmarted the killer in the big chase scene at the end. Only virgins can do that. Don't you know the rules? What rules? You don't... Jesus Christ, you don't know the rules?
Have an aneurysm, why don't you?
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie. For instance, number 1, you can never have sex. No. Big no-no! Big no!
I'm a dead man.
Human popcorn. Sex equals death, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. No, the sin factor. It's a sin. It's an extension of number 1. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
You see, you push the laws and you end up dead. Okay, I'll see you in the kitchen with a knife.
The first one had a big impact on me, I can tell you. I actually got the big cinema poster. The massive one with all the faces filled in into the word Scream.
Yeah.
And it was my... I had it on a wall. It was massive.
That's what you do, poster.
I had it on the wall, and it was with me throughout. I mean, I bought the soundtrack.
I had a thing with the Scream films. I had to get the special edition VHS.
Yes, because it was widescreen.
It was widescreen, and I actually, because I was talking about Scream with my mate the other day. I think I took a picture of it, but then I deleted it. Well done. Well done, Andy.
But yeah.
Yeah, it had a really... The cover of it was Drew Barrymore's face, but like a sort of weird version, like a sort of drawing of it. They just looked brilliant.
Yeah.
No one really sort of pays attention to having really good covers anymore.
No. I mean, that was a lost art in when, films in the 80s and 90s, I think they kind of killed them off after digital.
Yeah.
But the first film I remember being a big fan with my friend Lee Thorne, who was a huge fan.
Yeah.
Super fan. We both kind of like really enjoyed talking about the Scream films, and strangely enough, I actually went on a date with a girl who I fancied because she kind of looked a little bit like Helen Hunt. There's a connection to this, and I kind of didn't find her that interesting. She didn't find me that interesting, and we kind of found a way of ditching each other by she took me to a nightclub that had a special shoe requirement, and I had white trainers on, and so I couldn't go in. But she continued to go in. It's like, oh, sorry, I guess this is where the date ends. It was kind of the worst date ever kind of a situation. And so I thought, great, because we walked past a Blockbuster earlier that evening, and all I could think of from that moment was, damn, they've got an X-Rental version of Screaming there.
Yeah.
And so I came back and I bought the X-Rental copy of Scream, and I took it home and I watched it for the first time in the house, and I was like, yes!
Well, I remember those days we could buy an X-Rental video.
Yes, X-Rental. But the early ones used to be really expensive when they first came out. It's like a Die Hard with a Vengeance. I remember it being £20, straight up price, 20 quid. And usually they're like $9.99 when you buy them. But it was almost like maybe 3 or 4 weeks after it had been a rental, they were putting out the exclusive X-Rentals.
Yeah.
And I remember Die Hard with a Vengeance was one of them, and Scream was this other one where I spent $15 on an X-Rental, hardly used though. And you know what? Forget the date. this is where it's at. This is my entertainment, and it was great.
Yeah, well, me and Matt used to watch it, the VHS, over and over again.
Yeah,
loved it.
Yeah, I never owned a costume though. Never actually got.
I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I've got loads of pictures of me with a Scream mask on.
Oh man, because I never did that. Never ran out.
I had one of those that glowed up in the dark as well.
It's one of those things where I kind of felt like it felt a bit sinister wearing it, as if I might just suddenly become a psycho killer.
That was the beauty of the film, though, especially some of the later ones when everyone's dressed up with the mask on and you have no idea.
The cinema, everybody in the theatre was number 2, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was number 2.
All dressed up, and they went to go and see Slash.
Yeah, and then where she gets killed. Well, when she gets stabbed, and then she's sort of like, oh, and everyone just thinks it's part of her and cheering her, and she just drops down dead, and everyone's a bit weird then, but. That's great. It's a great way of playing with that convention, you know.
Yeah, and it makes people realise how being desensitized to it kind of is a violence in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that you're not really, that you can actually be killed right there in public. That's a big fear for me. It's like the idea of actually being in a public place and somebody just stabbing you.
Yeah.
And nobody knowing because
exactly.
you're just still sitting there, and it's like it's weird.
But everyone wearing the same mask. It could be anybody.
Yeah. And not one of them was John Malkovich.
Not one of them was John Malkovich. Malkovich.
So Scream films, always a hit.
Yeah.
But as you say, the story kind of wears a little bit thin as they go along. And, they had Lee Schreiber come back as kind of like this guy who gets killed in the third.
Yeah, you never know whether to trust him, do you?
Yeah, and and that's it. It's kind of like, but Neve Campbell had long hair, short hair, long hair. She did the Tom Cruise thing.
She did, yeah. That's her. The Scream films are her Mission Impossible. She does all her own stunts as well.
Oh, but
that time when she went down the stairs, that was all her.
That was all her. And I did have a thing about her in the first film, but it kind of, there's something about her that, as she became popular and was making more money in Hollywood, there was something behind that thing that felt a bit false. I just couldn't.
But again, the Scream films kicked off another teenage slasher craze. You got I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes, it did.
But everyone seemed to miss the point of Scream.
Yeah,
Scream was a satire about slasher films,
and then they thought,
and then people thought, because that's the brilliance of it. It was scary as well as being a clever satire.
Yeah. So everything else, the urban legends,
precisely,
those things, Final Destination, kind of.
It was
took
again,
it's a bit
different
direction,
but it's still teenage.
Yeah, teenagers once again coming together, and I think it did revitalise the genre. Even though when you are revitalising a genre, you're gonna get a pile of shit coming out at the same time as the nuggets that come through.
Yeah. It happens all the time.
Everything.
The moment someone's a hit, the studios will make 1 million of them.
The only thing that didn't do that was Titanic.
There
wasn't suddenly a surge of boat movies sinking.
No,
did you notice that? Did you notice the Titanic actually didn't create anything other than it killed.
You can't though.
It killed the 3-hour flick. It killed the 3-hour flick to a certain extent, because in the 90s people were actually enjoying the Dances with Wolves, the JFK, Wyatt. I think the Kevin Costner 3-hour flick was a huge thing.
But Titanic is an event. It actually happened. But you can't stop making fictitious. You remade Poseidon, I guess.
You tell people on Twitter who haven't got a clue that Titanic is actually a real ship. It's a phenomenon out there known as dumb kids who think Titanic was not real. That it actually they're shocked when somebody tells them it was actually based on a real boat. They honestly go nuts. They think, "You kid, no way! I just found out that Titanic was actually a real boat." And it's like,
it's the Dumb and Dumber thing, isn't it? He was walking out of that bar and he looks at that picture and it says "Man walked on moon." He's like, "What? No way!" And he walks out there. It's just that, isn't it?
So Scream. After that, Wes Craven made his money in Hollywood. Finally, he put his mark out there. So
what, after the Scream films, what else is he?
After the
what
Scream
was his last film?
Let's just get to the end of his credits. This is lovely sound that you just love. Okay, so we go Scream 3.
He had a cameo in Jane and Silent Bob Strike Back. Forgot
Jay
about
and
that.
Silent Bob. Yeah, because I think it's probably because of the Scream 3 thing.
Yeah.
Because that happened. Cutting Edge, Dracula. He did a lot of Dracula films. There was Dracula 2000, then Dracula 2, then Dracula 3.
But he was just producing them, wasn't he?
Yeah. Red Eye. Have you seen that one?
Is that the one on the plane?
Yeah, I think so. Director. We're looking for the ones that he directed. Red Eye was the one he directed there. I haven't seen that one either. I haven't really been much of a fan of his work outside of franchise. He's kind of, you don't know he's directed a lot of films. Diary of the Dead, he did something with.
I think it was like a voiceover, wasn't it?
Last House on the Left produced. He produced the remakes as well, which is interesting.
Money, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was in a castle.
Scream TV series, I think, was the last thing he worked on as a producer.
Nobody puts on a mask and commits a murder like that just once. The real question is, who's next?
I'm scared every time I get a phone call, every time I get a text. My life is not a game.
Yes, it is. And when I decide it's over, you will lose.
Every killer is someone's friend.
There is no way out of this. Everybody's a suspect, including us.
Wait, where are you on the list?
Duh. I'm making the list.
Nice resting creep face.
Back at ya.
Thank you.
Oh, holy Manson family album. It's a genuine killer's lair.
Why is your DNA on the inside of the mask?
I cannot just keep lying to Emma.
Lying to me about what?
Emma, this is getting insane.
Karma doesn't just happen. Sometimes you have to take it in your own hand. I'm shit, turn that off! You like liquid so far?
Yeah. You know, aside from all the murders, it's nice.
This is all a test, and when I fail, people die.
Killer's here. No, come on. No.
It ends with you.
Scream. All new Tuesdays at 10.
Any reports on Scream the TV series? Is it something that's not over here?
I've not seen any of it yet.
No.
We'll definitely check it out though.
Yeah, I think it's something that I'd like to see, because apparently they're dedicating the next episode to Wes Craven's memory. So
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's got to be done.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had a big influence. That was his. I remember his documentary was about Deep Throat. That was the thing he did.
Oh, he did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was like a rumor saying that he actually was an actor in Deep Throat.
Really?
But you know, that's who we say. Well, that's wonderful music you're playing over there. It's definitely not picking up.
Bit of free jazz going on over there.
Free jazz and eclectic. It sounds like someone who's fallen asleep at the car horn. You know, on the steering wheel, like. Aspen, you're a car crash. So yeah, Wes Craven.
You know, a great career, a real good advocate for horror cinema, and will be sadly missed.
Yeah, I think without him, the horror genre probably would have struggled a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
like two of the biggest franchises in recent horror memory would be Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot. And I think sadly missed. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. So yeah.
What can you say? We're bad at endings as well. We haven't really talked about us being bad at endings.
No, terrible at beginning and ending.
So what can we do? Should we just go into a dream? Should we just disappear off into one of Freddy's nightmares?
I think we should end it with a lovely quote about horror films from Wes Craven.
I think the lesson is that you should not put the hook in the door unless you're absolutely sure the car is going nowhere.